Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the New Construction Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Anya Christiansen, and I'm very excited to introduce my guest for today, Matt Bertram. Matt is the CEO of oh man, I screwed it up.
eWeb results.
eWeb results. Yeah.
Internet
I was
results.
like, there's too many consonants next to each other. Thank you. Thank you. And they do SEO, they do digital advertising, and all things social media. So today I thought I'd have Matt on to help us figure out what our strategy should be going into 2020. So let's talk about what's working now and what trends you see going into 2020, and how can we as new home salespeople really figure out what we should be doing on social media, because I think social media is changing every single day and it's impossible to keep on top of it. So let's start off with a little bit about you, Matt. So if you don't mind telling our listeners your story, how did you get to where you are, what you do day in, day out, and how did you get here?
Yeah, well, so my origin story, I actually started off as a salesperson, making cold calls, 50 to 80 calls a day
Ouch.
for about 8 years. So I actually built an agency in my 20 that was a headhunting agency,
Wow.
and we would pick up the phone and want to buy a chicken, and trying to find that 3% of people that are looking to buy, and that needle in the haystack. And that's what, a lot of sales today with a lot of small business still is kind of a old school way of doing things. And me, my mom was one of the first employees of Microsoft. I'd always kind of seen the advantages of technology and how to create some leverage there. And so, as LinkedIn became kind of a thing, and email automation, and so I started utilizing some of these things, and I quickly realized that I could do far more, um, taking advantage of automation. So like automate, delegate, eliminate was kind
Mhm.
of like a motto I had for a long time, and finding out how these things helped really transform how I do business and like what I do. So I went from picking up a phone and making 60 to 80 calls a day to now I only talk to people that usually have paid to talk to me first, right? So how
Well,
do you
I
make
feel
the
very lucky today.
how do you make the transition from calling people that don't want to talk to you and
Mhm.
trying to find that one person or that 3% of people that are looking to do that, to now where everything's inbound.
Mhm.
I have 28 something people here now, and I have 0 salespeople as of today. I mean, I'm looking to build a sales team so we could get a little more targeted, but everything we have is inbound. So what's the path to do that? Really, the path to do that is kind of hitting on what you were talking about, is building that personal brand. People use the term attraction marketing, or
Mhm.
inbound marketing was created by a company called HubSpot. But broadcasting who you are, and having through content marketing, and have people find you and attracted to you and want to do business with you, it has really transformed the way that I've done business. I mean, there's definitely things that we're doing, but I'm right now doing no outbound strategy at all. Like, that's something that I'm looking to build next year. But I can tell you that, going back to what you said, storytelling. Okay. I think storytelling is the component that people need to think about as they look to leverage social media. Like we were talking about in the pre-interview, just posting open house, open house, open house. You're just broadcasting like an event or an action, and you're not even tying to it features and benefits of why someone should come to it.
Yep.
And these kind of little um, expressions of things, of how people are expressing themselves. People want to interact with people. People want to do business with people. So long form content, video content is really changing how people are interacting on social media. If you think about like people that you follow, why are you following them? Why are people following the Kardashians? I mean, who knows? But the reality is
Guilty.
ton of people are, right? Ton of people are following them. Well, they've put their life online, and people are connecting with who they are. It's kind of like soap operas,
Hmm.
like how did like Days of Your Life stay on forever? Like the reason it stayed on is not because of the plot. It was because people were emotionally connected with the character. Same thing with like Friends or anything else. And so in our own world, because we're people and why we connect with those things, we
Hmm.
should be doing those type of things. And people are going to make the selection. This is one data point that I was on another podcast earlier, that you're only supposed to share kind of one data point, because too much data will just, people will go numb with it. But it was 80% of people make
Hmm.
the decision to buy,
Hmm.
okay, before they even pick up the phone and call you. So people searching online are determining whether or not they want to do business with you, they want to do business with your company, if they want to buy this house, is it good quality, like is it built right, did the builder cut corners, like whatever it is, like they're determining these things from friends on social media, like people sharing on Facebook, people's like opinions, what they read, reports out there, like they're reading all this stuff. So they're doing all this research. So if you don't have content out there on all different forms, um, and I think video content's the most powerful, um, people are going to make their decision about you without you influencing or having input into that conversation. And so I think it's really, really, really critical to get your side of the story or your opinion of who you are out there, and let people kind of decide if they want to do business with you. But if they don't even know who you are, there's no chance of that, right?
Bingo, bingo, bingo. So, and speaking about inbound marketing, I mean, you guys, can you imagine never having to prospect? Wow. I mean, that would be freaking amazing. Like that would be the dream. And I think that social media certainly will allow you to achieve that in a big capacity. And I always say that, your builder is responsible for driving part of your traffic. It could be up to 50% of your model traffic. And hopefully they're doing some of those things that Matt has mentioned. But it's also up to you as a salesperson to do your part to drive traffic and to be proactive, so that you're not dependent on the economy. You're not dependent on whatever's happening. You are your own force. You are your own economy. You're generating people through the door. So many people that you are so busy that if you ever have a cancellation, you can say, thank goodness I can actually take a breath. So, Matt, all the things you talked about sounds fantastic, and it also makes my head spin. So, let's break it down and talk specifics. So, there's so many different social media platforms out there, and it seems like we need to be everywhere. So, what's the best strategy going into 2020? Do we pick one or two? Do we need to be everywhere? How do we know where to be? What's your advice?
Well, so it really comes down to who your target audience is, right? And where those people hang out. Now, Facebook's a good catch-all because almost everybody's on Facebook. But not everybody's on Facebook to buy a new home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're actually looking to get away. They could be on LinkedIn. They could be reading blogs. Like you got to figure out also demographics, right? So if you're selling a $250,000 home versus a multi-million-dollar home, your prospects are going to be in different places on different platforms, different age groups. So there's a lot of things to consider, but you got to define your target persona. People call it an avatar, like who you're going after, like where are you going to go fishing? Like where are the fish that you're searching for?
Mm-hmm.
That's one component of it. The second component of it is what platform are you comfortable on, right? So look, I know your target market's not like the 18 plus or minus. So TikTok is like what everybody's talking about right now in social media. If you're in the industry, TikTok, and it's definitely a way to just waste a lot of time. Like there's a lot of like random videos, but there's not maybe people that can afford a new construction home or a custom
Mm-hmm.
home in that market. So even if you like it, even if you understand it, it's not where your target market is. So you got to kind of match those two up. And Facebook becomes a pretty good catch-all because you can target buyer behaviors, right? So buyer behaviors are really good. You can see that too with Google AdWords or Google Display, where you can kind of chase people around like with remarketing. Um, and you're right, the builder should be doing some fundamental SEO to get some content out there, to do some content marketing strategies. But where you're going to build your brand is connecting with people, and that is through social media. I think right now, where you want to be in general to target business people is LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes, I love LinkedIn.
LinkedIn right now just came out with kind of that Facebook feed component. I was at a conference up in New York not too long ago. They were talking about how there's maybe like under 600 content producers in 2019. So like 600 people on all LinkedIn are only
Wait,
producing.
only
Yes.
600? That cannot
Only
be.
600, and it was saying that it was producing on average one piece of content a week, or so.
Wow.
I think I mean, it was really a low bar,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's all that's producing content. And then not only that, they're really juicing the visibility, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my standard posts on LinkedIn, like if a couple people like it in the beginning to kind of trip the algorithm, be a couple thousand views, right? To get that on Facebook now, you got to spend
Impossible.
money. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you ask me what platform to be on, I mean, I know there's some caveats of the target audience, but also who you're connected to, your network. Facebook, you can only connect to 4,000 people. LinkedIn, you can connect to 30,000 people. So think about the reach. Okay. So personally, I think LinkedIn's the place to be. I think Facebook groups, the place to be. I think in your local community, like if you're posted on Nextdoor, there's some kind of guerrilla marketing strategies that you need to implement. But in my mind, you want to generate content, and if you post on LinkedIn, it will get indexed by Google. So I really like LinkedIn right now, and that's not. I mean, my mom doesn't work there anymore
Mhm.
for at Microsoft, but I mean, LinkedIn I think is the place to be, standalone right now, to target uh, business owners. You can target by titles,
Yeah.
right? So you can make an estimation by their title, what they might make if they're in the market for you. I think Facebook ads are the second place to be. And if we're talking about building your personal brand, yeah, I would say try to get comfortable with LinkedIn. But again, it's like you can be on Instagram and then you can push it through to Facebook, right? So
Mhm.
I think syndication is something that not a lot of people talk about, but you can take content, produce it one time, like this podcast. We can take this video content, we can transcribe it, make it into a blog. We can cut
Mhm.
little pieces of it, put it on, Twitter or Instagram TV or whatever. Like, so you can make content and repurpose it for each platform.
Yep.
Um, you just got to kind of maybe build those networks. But I would say just for me at least, right? And I'm producing content that's driving inbound marketing for us. I'm really mainly on Facebook and LinkedIn, and that
Mhm.
and then SEO or in Google. That's really it. It just depends what you're trying to achieve, how many leads you need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kind of factors, but you
Yeah.
maybe start somewhere and build out. But you do not have to be on every platform. And if you
Okay.
don't understand the platform, you shouldn't be there for sure. So
Agreed. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so those are the two platforms that I usually recommend to my students as well as LinkedIn and Facebook, just because most people are on it. And with LinkedIn, it is such a great platform. You're going to have the best organic reach without having to pay for it. So you guys, almost every week, it'll tell me that one of my posts is going like trending in for
yeah,
specific hashtags.
yeah,
So let's talk about specifics of each so that we know how to best spend our time. So let's talk with LinkedIn, since it does seem to be the hot platform right now. And
sure.
also, I think for new home salespeople, what's great about LinkedIn is that it is professional, and I think it is acceptable for you as a new home sales counselor to um, quote unquote friend your customers. And I would certainly friend every single person you come into contact with on LinkedIn, including all of the realtors. And the reason being is because anytime you post something, and say it be an open house, if one of your people that you're connected to likes it, guess what's going to happen? every single person that he's connected to is going to see that. So that's what's unique about LinkedIn versus Facebook, right? Is that when I like something, now my entire network can see that post. When I like something in Facebook, that doesn't happen. So talk to us about a couple of best
Tactics.
practices on
Yeah. Okay.
LinkedIn, what we can do to really increase our reach.
Yeah. So um, I would say that absolutely you want to be active in the community. One, if you're posting consistently, a lot of people tell me that I'm kind of in a closer personal group or business group with that. How do you get you're always at the top of my LinkedIn? And I'm like, well, I post consistently, right? So when I post and you're in my network, I show up. So it's weighted to show people in your network showing up more. If you post more, you'll show up more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you're active in the community, if you're liking other people's content, if you're sharing other people's content, you're making comments on it, LinkedIn's going to show that because LinkedIn's trying to build engagement. Um, and so, social media is a good way of kind of staying top of mind, but without, directly messaging somebody or text blasting people or however you're currently doing it. It's a non-obtrusive way that if they're on LinkedIn, they can see what you're doing. They can kind of follow you, um, and it gives you a really good reach. So when you're posting, right now, you can post up to 10-minute videos. So like little segments you can upload. Videos do quite well. What's interesting, GIFs, if you're posting GIFs, what I've seen is the gift engagement's a lot higher, but on mobile, you got to convert it into a video for people to actually see that. I don't know exactly how LinkedIn was built or why that's the case, but that's what I've seen. I think from a hashtag standpoint, you do want to use hashtags, but you don't need to go overboard or crazy with it. I would say the age old question of should you like your own posts? I believe you should. Like if I'm gonna
I'm with you. Thank you.
right,
Okay, thank you. I
right.
always like my own post because I'm thinking if I like it, then everyone else who I'm connected to will see it.
People are like, you
Huge.
shouldn't like your own post. I'm like, no, I like my own post. Like one, I like my post. If I don't post it, like I wouldn't like, I
Thank you.
like what I
Thank you.
post first, but two is then it shows that it's already liked. So more people might be willing to like it. I think that the algorithm weights it a little bit, not as heavy as someone else liking it, but it definitely helps it. And also if you go back and then make a comment on your own post later, it'll give it a little more juice. And then if
Mhm.
someone comments, you want to like their comment and maybe comment on that. And you don't want to do it all at the same time. You want to kind of come back later and keep feeding it a little bit. And typically some of my posts will take, depending on who's on LinkedIn, because it's going to show it to my network.
Mhm.
Usually there's people that will like more consistently. Well, sometimes those posts take a minute to get enough likes to really go kind of trending. And
Mhm.
so, you can come back and like your own posts. You can connect it to other posts. I think that there's still some development in LinkedIn in general, but that visibility is good. One of the things that I did play around with for a while is I would put a link to like a Calendarly or like an automated calendar where people can schedule.
Mhm.
And I was getting about one every other week of people contacting me, jumping on my calendar. Then it kind of, my calendars get too
Oh, that's a
full.
good
So I
idea.
don't,
I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna steal that idea.
good.
Putting it on right now.
Good. As long as your audience gets like one gem, like, I mean, that's really when I
Yeah.
read a book or
And so
something.
give us an example. So you share some piece of contact and then you say, if you want to implement this in your business, reach schedule a call with me.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if this something's valuable to you, and you want to chat, sign up for a free 15-minute consultation, or you can also have like a downloadable, just like you would where you see on Facebook. Hey, if you'll give me or drop your business or email below, that works quite well. One of the things that really works quite well, I've actually, I should have done it on one of my posts, but I didn't go back and do it, but someone else did it to me and I thought it was brilliant, was uh, create a post, right? That you're trying to broadcast, and then go down and tag a bunch of people in the comments. And then all those people will see it. And then again, those people will
Mhm.
see it. And it's just, you're playing with a broader audience group than on Facebook. Because again, you got, 30,000 somewhat connections versus Facebook. And also, if you think about Facebook, where Facebook was maybe, was it beginning of 2018, like March, they like changed the algorithm, but they were, before that, they were really pushing like the live function, right? Like
Hmm.
anytime you went live, everybody saw it.
Right.
Well, right now, LinkedIn has their beta version for live.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want to apply to the beta version, but you need to have some consistency in your posting before they'll let you in it. But think about the life cycle of where they're at. They're trying to get people engaged. They're trying to get people involved in the groups, and they're just about to come out with live. So think back, if you know, want to predict the future, look where Facebook was right
Hmm.
before they came out with Facebook Live. You have this opportunity on LinkedIn, that's business contacts, is where you probably want to be. Like, you need to be, in my opinion, on LinkedIn, because people are either, yeah, they're looking for jobs, but they're also, that's the right place to connect with someone business to business, and to engage and create a network. So I think that as LinkedIn does a better job of developing to get people to stay on the platform, um, you laying the groundwork early, and becoming an influencer there is going to
Hmm.
pay dividends in the future, if it's not already.
I agree with you, and I think not just business to business on LinkedIn too. I think customer to customer, right, consumer to consumer. So, I
People to
mean,
people, people
I
to people.
I'll take the piece of content and I'll post it to LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. By far, I see the most engagement with all of my posts. So, Matt, you talked a little bit about being active in the community. So, how often do you recommend posting on LinkedIn to see results?
Um, I would say, you know, okay, so this is what I say about posting on any platform, okay? Even email lists, anything like that. You got to think about your family, friend group, acquaintance group, your business associate, however you want to define it, like whatever your rings are of people, and how often do you communicate with them. So the audience you're trying to build, you need to be engaged with them as often as as you're trying to develop that relationship. If you want, like, I know people that post daily, you know,
Hmm.
and they want to be really tight with everybody and they're posting daily. Some people can't do that. Like, so post weekly, right? And weekly, if you're talking to your friend group or your family weekly, you know, you're pretty communicative with them, right? Now, if you're talking to them once a month, it's like, hey, like, I'm staying in touch with you. Or if you're talking every quarter, it's just like, hey, I ran into you at an event. So you got to think about who your target audience is and how often you want to communicate them. And
Hmm.
then that goes across any platform. In my opinion, that's how you should look at it. I would say, um, like, monthly is the minimum. In my opinion, monthly is like really the minimum if you want to stay engaged with anybody, of people you want to know who you are. I mean,
Hmm.
talking to someone once every 6 months, you know, that's kind of a stretch. If you can do weekly and build it into, uh, you know, something that's important to you, like, hey, I need to call my parents once a week, or my, you know, daughter, or whatever, right? Like once a
Hmm.
week, like, build that into saying, hey, I want to talk to my audience, I want to connect with them once a week. And just, you got to make time for it. You got to make time for important things, and then do that. And if you have one platform, and you can get all kinds of fancy with IFTTT and push stuff out and automate it and whatever, but just posting, you know, once a week on LinkedIn, I think you'll see results, but it's not going to be immediate. Okay. And I think a lot of people in the Amazon world, you know, the microwave world of like, I need it now. This is like any relationship you build with anybody,
Hmm.
you're not going to see results like the first time you do it. And so you really got to understand that you're committed to building something or building a relationship long term. And you
Hmm.
got to treat it that way, that you're not going to get instant gratification. And it's kind of a two-way street, and you want to be giving value, and you don't want to just be me, or buy. You want to be putting value out into the marketplace, and look for some of that reciprocation over time.
Yes, yes, couldn't agree more with you. I think consistency is a big one here. And you guys, just a couple of episodes back, we talked about creating your killer marketing calendar for the year. And so on that marketing calendar, you absolutely need to put in a day where you're going to do your social media posting, because that should be your strategy for the year as well. So, and again, think about one piece of content. Maybe you create one video, since video is so hot right now, and then you take it to LinkedIn, you take it to IGTV, you take it to Facebook. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can just reuse the content. And the easy thing you can do is, I always say, hey, NAHB and NAR put out a ton of useful content that your customers love to know, right? Most people are so curious about real estate. They always want to know what's going on in the real estate market, especially in your local market. So what you can do is take that information, say if it's an article that the NAHB or NAR published about state of the market, and you rephrase it and create a short video about it. And you look like a freaking genius.
I mean, yeah, you could even just read the article and curate your own
Yeah.
content. Okay. I think that you hit on something, and I'm not sure how much we touched on it, but I think it's really, really important to understand that the transition with social media is moving to like long form content. It's moving to storytelling, and like people do business with people. They do business with people. In my book, I talk about the know, like, and trust, how important it is for someone to know, like, and trust you. And what is it, so much of communication is nonverbal. And so the way that people are going to find that or pick that up is through video. And over watching X amount of video time of you talking or interviewing people or what have you, they're going to get to know who you are, and they're going to decide if they want to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to build that kind of comfort that you're the kind of person that they want to do business with. And that's just so important. I mean, that's what you're trying to do anyway with your prospects one-on-one. Well, the internet or social media is so powerful because it's one to many,
Yes.
right? And typically if you're talking to somebody, you're usually talking to, like, the internet's a one person sport. Like, I don't know, there's not a ton of people that are always sitting around a computer looking at something together, unless it's some really funny video or whatever. But it's usually you on your phone or you on your computer doing some kind of research or news or social media or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
a great way to have a medium to connect directly with people. And I don't think people are using social media in that way. It might be kind of look at me kind of thing, or like, look how, look what I'm doing, or this or that. But I've started to see a shift in social media where people are like, do something that, like, in your post gives people the opportunity to engage with you. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really the shift I'm seeing going into 2020 is how are you allowed to open up the conversation where people can connect. I think, like, the recommendations on Facebook and things like that are trying to utilize technology to help people get the conversation going. But those are the people I've seen that are the most successful, that are actively engaged in building relationships online. And that's that two-way street. And if you're broadcasting, it's storytelling, but connection, right? I mean, there's no other platform or no other marketing tool that you actually have dialogue or engagement with somebody. And I think that is what makes social media so powerful and unique in that aspect. So
Yeah, and I think engagement is the key, and you're going to see your posts do so much better if you actually get people to engage with you. So I think your goal before you start any video or any post should be, how can I get people engaged in the conversation with me? Because the thing is, that evil algorithm that we all talk about, even if Matt and I were following 100 people that were the same exact people, when if I would look at Matt's feed versus my feed, it would look completely different, because the way it works is it reacts to what you have engaged with in the past. So it's only going to show you people that you have engaged with in the past. If you commented on their post, if you liked their post. So if you're not responding to their post, you're no longer going to see that. So that's the key, that you do engage with your audience, because if they're, if you're just like dumping on them and you're not soliciting any kind of engagement back, they're going to stop seeing your post. And I think with LinkedIn right now, it's a little different, right? Because with LinkedIn, um, again, I think it you do get more reach, and it's not quite as bad as like Facebook. Or Facebook, if they don't engage with you, you're definitely not going to see their posts. So, but with LinkedIn, I'm sure it's going to go down that same path, right? If we know anything about social media.
Yeah, no, it will. It will. So right now, you need to take advantage of it. Like, I think timing's key. But one of the things that we talk about, if we step back for a second and we look a little bit broader, because what my agency mostly does is, SEO, or search engine optimization, and
Mm-hmm.
Google. Right. And when people think SEO, they think mainly Google, because it's the majority of the market. Well, people are now starting to talk about, SEO on different social media platforms. What SEO is understanding that algorithm, how it kind of works, and how to facilitate more visibility or online PR through that. But if you go back to what the algorithm's trying to achieve, it's trying to achieve a good user experience, for the person that's on it, that's seeing content they like, that's engaging, that's helpful, all those sort of things. So if that's your guiding star,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing those things, you're not gonna need to know how the algorithm works if you're providing good value and good content and engaging people. And they want to see a give and take experience, and it's not just someone, you don't want to be the person that's going around going, hey, here's my business card, to everybody, and like, you go hand it out and then run off. Like, that person, like, I don't know. I mean, that social media is just a different medium to transact with other humans.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you kind of understand that and know what's acceptable in real life and what's acceptable online, people think that there's two different set of rules, but we're just now connected to people a lot closer, and through like Zoom calls and video chats, you can connect with people all around the country. We're just more interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So really, those calibrations of how you interact with people are really important. But again, they're based on the real life, and the algorithms are based on what they generally want to see you do. And
Mm-hmm.
if you use that as your guiding principle, you're going to do pretty well. If you do okay in real life, you're going to do real well online, so.
Yeah, the whole thing with social media is that they want to keep you on social media as long as possible. So if you're having fun on social media, that's the key. And so think about, like, why would somebody want to engage with your post? Why would somebody want to share your post, interact with it? It's just like, yeah, real life. Whatever works in real life, transferable to social media. So speaking of real life, and for whatever reason, people think that on social media, especially messaging and LinkedIn, that they can just spam you with certain things.
No.
So talk to me about that. Like, if you do want to engage with somebody on social media, what's the right way to go about messaging someone?
Well, I mean, I would say that this is my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, there's probably a lot of articles and people out there talking about like the proper way to do it. I'm going to just tell you my experience. And it depends too, like how selective you are on your network, right? So if you're only going to connect with realtors and people in your industry, it's more of a targeted audience. But like, I'm getting like a lot of people are asking me to connect every day, and I'm just connecting with whoever. Like, I'm not really that picky. Some people are. I'm not. So then I connect with them, and then they send me some automated spam message, and then I get dripped all these automated spam messages. So then my LinkedIn inbox is filled up with a bunch of messages from people I don't know who they're at. So if you wanted to send me an email or just a message, I might miss it because I got all this stuff going on. So if you wanted to connect with me, uh, maybe start commenting on some of my posts, or
Yes.
you know what I mean, right? Like tagging something like in the comments, or something like that, to get me interested. Like with anybody, like if you're trying to connect with some kind of influencer, I think you got to build some kind of relationship with them and not just send one-way message. I mean, think about emails. Like, if I don't know what your email inbox looks like, but you send me one email out of the blue and I don't know who you are. Like, there's only so much time. it's going to be very hard to connect with me. Also,
Mhm.
my phone, for whatever reason, I get all these telemarketer and spam calls and
Oh God.
auto dials. I don't even answer my phone anymore if I don't know the number. So I'm telling people, if you want to get me, you need to text me, and then we'll coordinate a call from there.
Mhm.
But if you don't text me, like, and or you don't comment on something on my social media, like, there's a chance that, I'm not saying I will do it, but there is a chance I could miss your message. And I think a lot of people too are, like, I'm used to rejection from calling so much to people, but if you send someone a message and they don't respond, it doesn't mean that they're didn't like mean to respond. It might mean they didn't even see it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, in today's world, like, there's just so much noise. It's like, again, marketing, like personal branding. How do you cut through that noise? Like, are you putting out useful, interesting content that people are going to follow? And when people are following you, then it's easier to communicate messaging to your audience.
Mhm.
Um, but it's all about relationship building, and there's ways to do it and ways not to do it. But if you were to send me a, like, for me, like, I'm like, in-mails don't even matter, because I'll just like anybody that set like that friends me, and then they can
Mhm.
message me, and I know a lot of other people are like that too. And so, you know what I mean? Like, it just depends for different people, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think you got to make sure your message is communicated and heard. Um, and you need to understand maybe how some of these things work to increase your visibility. But one of the things that we talked about in the pre-interview, sorry, is how important it is to build your personal worth, right? Like, how important it is to build your brand, because people are doing business with the company, but they're also doing business with you as an individual. And someone's not going to buy from someone they don't like or don't trust, right? And
Agree.
they want to know that you're an expert and it can explain to them the process. You can make it painless
Mhm.
for them. Like, you're knowledgeable. It's going to be a good experience. Like, these are all factors that people are looking for, and people are making these decisions before they call you. So the best way you can communicate that is put out that content. And also, if you went and did something else, the thing about social media is you can take those relationships with you, and you bring value by who you are in your personal network.
Mhm.
So it's not just about that rote calendar posting that activity, but it's about building a community with you as a expert or an authority in that
Yes.
space, because there's intrinsic value in being that, right? And that applies no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Um and that's how you make yourself invaluable to a company. Is it's not that I can do this job, it's how effective I am doing this job, and what I can bring to the table for you, Mr. Builder.
Mhm.
Beyond your name and your brand, I can enhance that by the things that I'm doing, because I am a, quote unquote, I'm my own media producer or whatever.
Yep.
That gives you a lot more power in the interaction, and it adds a lot more value. And again, going back to like why I got into it, is like, I can do 7-10x what I could do picking up the phone every day, calling 60-80
Yes.
people without picking up the phone. I mean, like, who wouldn't make that trade? And today, right now, all the advantages of social media are out there, and it's not the market's not locked down. I mean, Facebook's starting to kind of get locked down behind paid walls, but there's absolutely still opportunities, and
Mhm.
there's absolutely ways to brand yourself. And we didn't even talk about content generation. If you write an article on LinkedIn, your domain authority will be so strong. And then if you like something or share a link, that actually helps your SEO. And that's a whole nother animal that we don't need to get into. But your, like, you're basically, your unique idea of who you are is like a page. Google
Mhm.
considers like a page, and it actually has domain authority from LinkedIn and then page authority. And by writing content and doing those things, you can build your authority. And like, I've actually seen this with clients and myself. Like, if I start sharing one of our clients' stuff on social media, I can move the needle
Mm-hmm.
by just doing that. So, there, it's intrinsically creating more value for people, and you're more authoritative by doing some of these things that we're talking about consistently.
Yes, I think the big part of it is perception, right? Right. Think about like most people see you on social media, they don't know you in real life, and perception is everything. I mean, think about those influencers that like taking photos and like their, you know, Chanel outfit, and it's like in a dressing room because they can't afford it, but what we
Well,
see is them standing next to like a fancy car, new outfit picture every single day, but the reality is they're living on their mom's couch. But what
well,
people
congruency, right? Like, being genuine, people can sniff that out pretty quickly. So like, that's really like something we didn't talk about, is you have to be who you are, because people are going to decide to do business with whoever they see or whoever that person is. And if you get on the phone with them and you're not that way, or
Mhm.
you're, like, you're using some photoshopped office, and then people walk into your real office and there's not congruency, those people are going to leave because they were attracted to one thing. So I
Mhm.
think it's really better to just be who you are. And like, if people like, you don't want everybody to like you, not every, like, you, if you don't repel, you're not going to attract, right? Because you're just kind of
Yes.
lukewarm.
Wow. Yeah.
So you can't be everything to everybody, but people are going to be attracted and do business with you. And don't be afraid of who you are. And there's even data to support that, like, a real post versus, like, stock posts. And I know that's not exactly what we were talking about, but like stock images and stuff, people see through the stock images real quick. They want to know now it's a real business with
Mhm.
real people. And the engagement rate's so much higher if you're using real pictures. So even if you're posting on social media, a lot of companies out there, if there's a lot of, the home builders that are listening, all these stock images that they're posting get very low engagement, very little
Mhm.
likes, very little shares. Post real things of your team or what you're doing, or what's happening, or just be real. That's what people want to see. They want to have insight into who you are. And like, is this, like, are there people happy? Like, is this company taking care of their individuals? Like, there's certain values that people look for.
Mhm.
Are they cutting uh corners here? Like these are things that people are trying to figure out, and they're like watching videos and they're trying to kind of assess those things. So the more you can put out who you are, it gives them more touch points to
Mhm.
make the decision of, do I want to do business with this company or person? um and usually a lot of companies have very limited data, right? So reviews are important.
Yeah.
Video reviews are the best, but on Google My Business, on Yelp, on Home Advisor, like all the different platforms that you might be on, there's some specialties for industries, but you want good PR, right? And you want to broadcast that, and that comes in a lot of different forms, and you need to be cognizant of that, I think. So.
Yeah, and I love what you said in the beginning, Matt, that if you're not doing it, then they're still forming an opinion of you.
Yeah.
It's just somebody else is in charge of that instead of you taking charge and showing people what you want to influence them on. So I love that. All right, so you guys, obviously 2020, and I've talked about LinkedIn before as my favorite platform. So thank you so much for reinforcing that. I think Facebook is definitely still a huge player, just because I mean everyone and their mother is on Facebook, so I think it's still worth the time investment. Now, what's your opinion, really quickly, Facebook personal page versus business page, sharing with your customers?
All right. So that's a great question. So I've seen, and I kind of reinforce this in my book, Build Your Brand Mania. If you go to buildyourbrandmania.com, you can check it out. And I think I kind of lay a good roadmap
Mhm.
for how to do this or to go through it. But I personally believe you want to build your personal brand first, and then that will help elevate your business. Okay. I think that that's how a lot of people in today's economy should grow that. And even if you're working for a company, you can operate the same way of you build your own personal brand. And then you're like, oh, by the way, I sell this stuff too. And it's really good because I'm putting my name and stamp on it. Right. So I think that you really want to leverage your personal page first.
Mhm.
Now, on the business page, that goes back to what we were talking about sooner or before, was don't post these generic posts, right? Or these stock images. I mean, look, if you want to mix in some quotes now and then, if it represents who you are, great. But I think that the real pictures of what's happening at the company are going to get the best engagement. So I would have said heavily, maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, all personal page. Okay. Because business pages were not giving you any visibility. But I like to post actually on the business page and then share it on my personal page.
Yep.
Okay. Because now I can create a boosted post, or uh, I can turn it into an ad to
Yep.
show that. Right. And um, I'm doing a lot right now on Facebook of paid cold traffic, but a branding. Okay.
Mhm.
Like if I get a video testimonial, I'll run the video testimonial of just like in my target market that I'm trying to achieve. Like, so I work with like, remodelers and I do work with some home builders and stuff like that in different markets. And I'll run the Facebook testimonial there. Well, the call to action, there's no real call to action of buy this, but
Mhm.
it's just putting kind of goodwill out there, and it's
Yep.
building like that kind of brand equity. And so I've kind of mixed it up of pushing out there, if you have the budget, some content that helps inject into the conversation um, things that I would like to highlight to get involved in that conversation. And so even like, so if we're doing stuff like to help the community or charity work, like we'll push that out there and kind of like say, hey, we support the community too, and like people will engage in that. And again, there's no real call to action, it's more kind of branding aspect. But I
Mhm.
found that makes us more memorable if they see our stuff more often. So it's a
Mhm.
more of a longer term play than it is like direct ROI. And I'm just not seeing effectiveness of 3 posts on, 5 platforms. And a lot of agencies are doing that, 3 posts on 5 platforms every week. Like, and there's no really engagement or likes on the real posts or on the real videos. I am still on Facebook getting, you know, 500 views or 1,000 views, you know what I mean? And it is to people that have liked my page. So then
Mhm.
I'm kind of building that audience. And so um, I have seen effectiveness from that. I think that social media, maybe on your personal pages, to get maybe cold traffic into who you are. And then the company page is kind of to keep people warm that might be looking to buy. Because if they do like the page, your stuff, they will see your stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so existing customers maybe, or like the resell, right? Or the referral or something like that. So you need to think about every post, what is the goal or intent that's trying to achieve. Like, so right now I'm doing maybe more branding related stuff. People might need more CTA or driving people. I need to get people to this event.
Mhm.
Think about what that is. And then also I would say, think about a sequence. Okay. Like even like Facebook ads that, if you're meeting somebody, like you're not going to be that business card guy immediately, right? So
Right.
like, how are you warming people up or like adding value to them? So I actually talk about in my book like a 3 email sequence. I call it like the you know a trusted advisor sequence of
Mhm.
like, putting out like a piece of content, and then maybe putting out like a authority building or testimonial piece, and then selling them, right?
Mhm.
And so I have a little bit longer term strategy because the 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 value of my customer, I guess, is bigger. I think with home builders, the value of the customer is bigger to buy this, to buy this new construction home, depending on the size. That's the biggest ticket item that
Yeah.
most people buy in their whole life. So like, why don't we warm people up a little bit more, before going in for the kill, like, I mean, I think that's something to kind of consider. Now you got to have buy-in from the owners if you're going to achieve that, but you also don't want to be that person that's always selling on social media and always pushing stuff.
Yes.
And if you're the one that's like adding value or useful things, people are not going to get offended by that. And then, like, so what I do a lot is I'll actually run a paid post to a blog that is, maybe there's some kind of title that's interesting, but it's still targeting my target market. So there's a little bit of clickbait action going on there. But once they get to the blog page,
Mm-hmm.
then I have some, Facebook remarketing pixel or Google remarketing pixel, and then I'll show them ads if they clicked on that page or took some kind of action on that page, because they've already raised their hand and showed some kind of intent. But if it was just in their feed, man, they just pass it up. It's no big deal,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's different kind of advanced tactics that you can utilize, but it's like a 80-20 principle maybe, or something like that, where you don't want to be selling the whole time.
Yeah, I even do like more like 90-10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely think about how much you can provide value and really establish yourself as that authority so that when people think about buying a new home, you're the first person they think of. And of course, they know what you do because you do sprinkle that in between. So, Matt, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you on. So much useful information. And I feel like I've learned a lot too. So, tell us one more time, what's the name of your book and where can we get a copy?
Yeah. So, Build Your Brand Mania is the name of the book. You can get it on Amazon. There is also, I do have it on Audible, so if you want to listen to it. But if you go to buildyourbrandmania.com, you can check out the book funnel. We also do have a podcast where we go into more complex internet marketing strategies, bestseopodcast.com. And that'll give you to a page where it syndicates it out everywhere. But the name of the podcast is Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. And then if you are a business owner or work with the business owner and, want to just connect with me on a business capacity, ewebresults.com is the name of our company. And those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. Like I said, though, commenting on my social media and getting my cell phone number and texting me is probably actually the best way to find me. But there's tons of content out there for free. Check it out if it's useful to you. But best of luck in 2020 in your internet marketing endeavors in the new construction industry. So.
Thanks. And Matt, what's your handle on social?
Matt Bertram Live. Matt Bertram Live. I would encourage you, if you don't have your full name on the social media platforms you're going to want to be on, or you think you're going to want to be on, I'd encourage you to go get them, because other people out there have your name.
Yes,
So,
believe it or not.
yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I have very SEO friendly name, Anya Chrysanthemum. I mean, I don't know, there's another one. So
Very cool. Very cool.
all right, Matt. Well, thanks so much for being on today. I appreciate your time and have a happy 2020. And I hope to talk to you soon.
You too. Have a good
Thanks.
one.
Bye.
All right, bye.